Hello, dear friends. This is a very controversial and exciting topic, but I will summarize various prophecies. Opinion piece: Prophetic Leaders, the Warlord of Tagus, Apocalyptic Prophecies, the Mahdi leader of Islam, the Great Monarch of France, the Great Man of Argentina, prophecies about Donald Trump. It coincides with the end of times, the Hindu Messiah Kalki Avatar, predictions about Nicolas Maduro, prophecy of the hermit Bug de Milhas. This one, Spaniards will not betray you. Quotes. Argentina will have its French Revolution, restoration of the Dharma or cosmic order. Let's start. A prophetic leader is one who combines a deep spiritual connection with practical leadership skills, guiding others towards a higher purpose and a positive transformation in line with the divine will. He's noted for his courage in confronting injustice and corruption, maintaining a firm stance even in solitude, and for demonstrating a high level of self-discipline and a strong sense of responsibility toward his mission. He possesses a clear vision of the future, based on inspiration, which he uses to guide and motivate his followers and seeks to improve existing conditions through his presence and servant leadership. Like the example of Daniel, the prophetic leader remains true to his principles and resists the temptations of power. Following the model of Jesus, the prophetic leader focuses on serving others without distinction, rather than seeking his own benefit, and clearly conveys the goal to be achieved to his followers. Spain. Bug de Milhas, a French hermit from the Pyrenees who lived until the mid-19th century, made several prophecies about a messianic figure known as Caudillo del Tajo, or Great Monarch, who would bring significant changes to Spain. According to these prophecies, the Warlord of Tagus would be a Spanish leader of royal lineage who would emerge at a time of crisis and chaos in Spain and Europe. He would unify Spain, respecting cultural differences such as language, customs, and traditions. He would lead Spain into a new era of powers and greatness, regaining its former splendor and influence. He would be a great warrior who would defeat the enemies of Spain and Christendom, advancing victoriously to the Pyrenees and beyond. Some identify him as an exiled prince who would return to rule. His arrival would coincide with a period of great conflict and turbulence, possibly related to the end of times. This leader is said to arise on the banks of the Tagus River. He would be a man of great courage and wisdom, capable of uniting people and leading great changes. Under his command, an era of prosperity and justice was predicted, where conflicts would be resolved and general welfare would be promoted. Dr. Gobelas, in his work Garbandal, Our X, describes the revelations of a holy soul and says in his fifth song psalm, in quotes, "Yes, he will come. Yes, a new king will come to govern. He is a prince of distant lineage, distant and already forgotten. Yes, he will come. He is already close. He will be a great warrior, the true defender of Spain, with its tradition. This one, Spaniards, would not betray you." Alberto Canosa. The Spanish-German researcher from Toledo, Alberto Canosa, resident in the German region of North Westphalia, is a controversial figure known for his alternative archaeology prophecies and predictions. Canosa presents himself as the Great Monarch, a prophetic figure who fulfills several biblical prophecies. His predictions often focus on apocalyptic events that would mark the end of time. I do not dare to contradict him. I am simply saying that time will reveal whether or not he is right. Canosa describes himself as a researcher and has gained notoriety primarily through the internet and social media. He uses platforms such as YouTube and blogs to spread his prophecies, which cover a wide range of topics, from politics to historical events and supernatural phenomena. Some of his prophecies involve revelations about the true motives behind the assassination of President JFK. Canosa has also made several predictions about apocalyptic events and major world changes involving revelations of hidden truths as the downfall of corrupt elites. One of Canosa's well-known claims of mine is the existence of sleeping giants in underground caves around the world. According to him, these giants are ancient beings that have been hidden by secret governments and organizations. Canosa has spoken extensively about the Cave of Hercules in Toledo, Spain. He claims that this cave contains ancient and advanced technology as well as artifacts that could change the history of humankind. According to Canosa, the cave would have been hidden by the authorities. Another of his claims is that the Ark of the Covenant, a biblical artifact of great power, is hidden in Spain and that he has knowledge of its location. France. The prophecy about the great monarch of France is a belief that has circulated in folklore and set in esoteric circles for centuries. This prophecy predicts the coming of a great Christian king who would restore peace and justice to France and throughout Europe, especially in times of great upheaval and crisis. He is credited with great victories against the enemies of Christianity, including triumphs in the Pyrenees and advances into Eastern Europe. The earliest versions of this prophecy can be traced back to the Middle Ages. Saint Remigius and other medieval saints and mystics spoke of a future godly king who would arise in France. Over the centuries, various apocalyptic texts and prophetic visions, such as those of Nostradamus, have made reference to this great monarch. His characteristics include being a king descendant from the French royal house, who would restore faith and order in times of great moral and social decline. The great monarch is described as a deeply devout, just, and wise king, with a great ability to unite people and restore justice. He is expected to restore Christianity and revitalize faith in God. According to the prophecy, the great monarch would not only restore France, but would also unify and pacify Europe, ending conflicts and wars. He is predicted to unify not only France, but his reign would extend across all of Europe, possibly encompassing the former Roman Empire. The coming of the great monarch is often placed in a period of great chaos and tribulation, including wars, natural disasters, and religious crises. His reign would usher in a new era of peace and prosperity. In contemporary times, some esoteric groups continue to await the coming of the great monarch, singing the current crisis signs of his imminent appearance. Some prophecies suggest that his rule would last until the end of time. He represents hope in a just and pious leader who would bring peace and restore order in times of crisis. The continuity of this prophecy throughout the centuries reflects the human desire for justice and stability in the midst of uncertainty. USA. Prophecies about Donald Trump have captured the attention of various authors and commentators who have explored everything from historical predictions to recent events. The book Prophecies and Signs in Donald Trump explores the various predictions surrounding Trump's presidency. The book suggests that history, faith, and destiny intertwine in the figure of Trump, creating a canvas of signs that seem to have been written in the stars. An evangelical pastor, Braddon Biggs, predicted with remarkable accuracy the assassination attempt against Donald Trump that occurred during a rally on July 13, 2024, in Butler, Pennsylvania. The prediction was made in a video published on March 14, 2024, where Biggs described an assassination attempt in which a ballot passed close to Trump's ear. Gene Dixon, a famous American psychic, also predicted the arrival of a president who will bring great changes and controversies, in quotes. Some of her followers have associated this prophecy with Trump. Mark Taylor, a retired firefighter who has presented himself as a Christian prophet, claimed in 2011 that he had a vision in which Donald Trump would become president. According to Taylor, Trump would be elected to restore justice and bring a spiritual renaissance in the world. Some theologians and analysts have tried to correlate Trump's figure with biblical figures, where there has been debate as to whether he could be a modern Cyrus, like the Persian king Cyrus the Great, who was seen as a liberator of the Jews, or even an end times figure. Trump's perception as a prophetic figure has influenced his support base, especially among evangelical groups. This has played a significant role in his political strategy and how he presents himself and his policies. Argentina. Prophecies about the Gray Man in Argentina come mainly from Benjamin Solari Parravicini, known as the Argentine Nostradamus. These predictions have gained attention recently due to their alleged relationship with current political events in the country. Parravicini, an Argentine visual artist and psychic, is famous for his prophetic psychographies, drawings accompanied by messages that predicted future events. Some of the most debated prophecies were related to the concept of the Gray Man. In 1941, Parravicini spoke about his prophecies of the Gray Man, describing a figure who would come to rule Argentina. According to the prophecy, he would be of a young and unknown caste in the environment, but wholly in manners, beliefs, and wisdom, in quotes. The prophecies indicate that the Gray Man would appear at a time of great crisis for Argentina. This period of difficulty would be the prelude to his arrival and rise. Parravicini suggests that the Gray Man would bring unity to a divided Argentina and would be able to reconcile the different political and social factions. This leader would act with moderation and balance, avoiding extremes. The Gray Man is described in Parravicini's prophecies as an emerging leader in Argentina who would arrive at a time of crisis and decline. According to interpretations, this leader would be neither left-wing nor right-wing, but a figure who would unify the country and lead it into a new era of prosperity and peace. The prophecy mentions that Argentina will have its French Revolution in quotes, and warns of possible blood in the streets if it does not see the moment of the Gray Man in quotes again. The prophecy indicates that this leader would arrive after the third day, which some interpret as a reference to the presidential election. Many have linked this prophecy to the recent election of Javier Milei as president of Argentina. There is a debate about whether Milei really fits the description of the Gray Man. Some argue that other prophecies by Parravicini do not match Milei's profile. Some analysts suggest that Milei could better fit for other prophecies by Parravicini, such as that of the young man in repulsion, in quotes. Venezuela. Prophecies about Nicolas Maduro have arisen in various contexts, mainly from religious figures and psychics who have tried to interpret the political and social future of Venezuela. Maduro wanted before the election that if he lost, a bloodbath would occur in Venezuela in quotes. Parravicini made the prediction in 1972 that has been linked to the current situation in Venezuela. In quotes, Venezuela would see its peace in love. It would see its wealth and organized power after the rains. It is supposed that the rains are now. Reinaldo dos Santos, known as the Prophet of America, is a Brazilian psychic who has made several predictions about Venezuela and Nicolas Maduro. Dos Santos has repeatedly predicted the fall of the Maduro regime, although his predictions have not materialized in the stated time frames. Adrian Salvucci, an Argentine political analyst and writer, has discussed the situation in Venezuela and the future of Nicolas Maduro from a geopolitical perspective. And although he is not a psychic, his analyses are sometimes interpreted as predictions. Several Venezuelan psychics have made predictions about the future of the country and Maduro's leadership. These prophecies often reflect hope for political and social changes, and some have predicted his departure from power amid major transformations in the country. Opponents of Maduro tend to interpret these prophecies as a sign of hope and an imminent change in the political and economic situation in Venezuela. In some cases, prophecies are used for political purposes to influence public opinion and motivate actions against the Maduro government. Islam. The Mahdi is an important eschatological figure in Islam, whose arrival is expected in the future. The Mahdi, which means the guided one, is considered a messianic spiritual and military leader who would appear before the end of time. According to Muslim tradition, the Mahdi would be a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. His name would be Muhammad ibn Abdullah, the same as that of the Prophet. He would fill the earth with justice after it had been filled with injustice and oppression. Belief in the Mahdi does not appear explicitly in the Quran, but it does appear in some hadiths or sayings attributed to Muhammad. For Shiite Muslims, the Mahdi is identified as the 12th Imam, who they believe is hidden and will reappear in the future. The Mahdi is expected to rule for a period of several years before the Day of Judgment. He is credited with the characteristics of a spiritual reformer, charged with guiding humanity to the right path and restoring faith in God. Some traditions indicate that black flags would appear as a sign of the Mahdi's arrival. The Prophet Muhammad ordered Muslims to follow the Mahdi when he appears, calling him the Caliph of God. It is important to realize that interpretations of the Mahdi vary among different branches of Islam, and not all Muslims accept this belief. However, the idea of the Mahdi as a reformer and just leader expected for the future is a widely held belief among Muslims. Hinduism. The prophecy of the Kalki Avatar is an important belief in Hindu mythology that refers to the final incarnation of the god Vishnu. Kalki is considered to be the 10th and final avatar of Vishnu, who would appear at the end of the Kali Yuga, the current age of darkness. Kalki is expected to restore balance and peace to the world, bringing in a new era of light and justice. According to Hindu scriptures, such as the Kalki Purana, Kalki would be born to destroy the wicked and restore the Dharma or cosmic order. Kalki is prophesied to appear riding a white horse, carrying a shining sword. The name Kalki meaning dust, is interpreted as one who would remove darkness from people's hearts. Kalki's arrival is associated with the end of the current era and the beginning of a new cosmic cycle. It is important to realize that, like many ancient prophecies, interpretations about the Kalki Avatar vary between different traditions and schools of thought within Hinduism. Some interpretations see Kalki as a literal figure who would appear in the future, while others consider him a spiritual or symbolic metaphor. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.